Bringing us stories trending around the world now is Ayo Mairo Ese. Over to you, Ayo.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bati. Well, let's begin what's trending following the controversy surrounding the appointment of Hannatu Musawa as Minister of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy without an NYSC certificate. In an interview on a television station, Barrister Adebayo Shittu, a senior member of the All Progressives Congress and former Minister of Communication, spoke on President Tinubu's policies and addressed the controversy. Shittu clarified that the 1999 Constitution does not mandate an NYSC discharge certificate for public office holders, stating that those raising concerns about Hannatu might lack legal knowledge. He also recalled that he served as Assembly member, Commissioner, and Minister without an NYSC certificate. Let's take a look at what he said.
Become a politician or a public office holder, you don't have having NYSC discharge is not a requirement. In 1979, yes, I contested the election into the Oyo State House of Assembly. I was coming direct from law school. Opponent who I defeated from NPN, he took me to court.
This was in 1979?
1979. He took me to court, and the court threw out his case. He said the court should invalidate my victory because I didn't do national service.
Even though you were a graduate?
Even though I was just coming out of law school. And the court asked, where in the 1979 Constitution is there a provision that to contest election in terms of assembly or any other political post, you must have NYSC discharge certificate?
Well, interesting perspective, Rufai.
I mean, interesting perspective, but this has always been in accordance with, what's in the law. The requirement has always been the same requirement. For a minister, the requirement has always been the requirement at which you will need to be able to get into the House of Reps.
Yes, Federal House of Reps.
And that does not require an NYSC certificate. You all know that we've complained ad nauseum that the requirement is, very, very low. But also, we also have stipulated laws that says that anybody that graduated below the age of 30 in the Nigerian University must complete NYSC. We also have a law that talks about the fact that any NYSC member must solely serve in the NYSC, not doing anything else. I don't know the full letter of the law, but I know there are laws around that place that says, that an NYSC member cannot take up another responsibility as at that point in time because you are there to be able to serve on your place of primary assignment. We also have many other laws that covers the NYSC. The case between Adebayo Shittu is different with what is happening to Hannatu Musawa. Hannatu Musawa is a serving corps member, and she's also a minister. And when this conundrum came out, it took the NYSC to confirm that she's a serving corps member. So it is a blight on this administration. And no matter how they try to wriggle their way back and forth around it. Yes, we know that the law's on ground, but the case here is different. She's holding two jobs. So I'd like to ask you, where's Hannatu Musawa's place of primary assignment? Who is doing the work as we speak? Initially, in her own defense, she claimed that she's had this conundrum for a while. As regards with the NYSC, that she claims she finished service. They say, oh, she did not finish service. Then she said, oh, even her certificate was burnt in the house. Then finally, she reached an agreement to do this NYSC service all over again. So as we speak today, she's a serving corps member.
All right.
Ajuaya.
All right.
As we speak today. And she's also serving as a minister. So if I need Hannatu Musawa at a place of primary assignment, and the president of the country also needs her, it brings about that moral conundrum. So as we speak today, is a case of a moral conundrum.
All right, Doctor, before I take your comment, Barrister Adebayo Shittu, lawyer, politician, he served as Minister of Communication from 2015 to 2019. Now, based on what Rufai has said, what if she was redeployed from her primary place of assignment to serve? Is that a possibility? So that she's serving out the remaining term of her youth service working for the president?
But that is not what has happened in this particular case. And I think in that sense, I would like to draw attention to this piece by Mr. Raypower, back page of The Guardian today, titled Musawa no third way. And what is Mr. Raypower saying here? He gives us the facts of the case. And in fact, Hannatu Musawa was mobilized for the NYSC as far back as 2001 in Ebonyi State. She didn't complete it. Then maybe 2009 or so, she was now redeployed to Kaduna State to complete the service. She didn't complete it again. Mm-hmm. Then when she was proposed for membership of PENCOM, a political appointment also by the Buhari administration, the Senate refused to clear her on the grounds that she didn't have a NYSC discharge certificate. And then, of course, somewhere down the line, there was a story that, there was a fire accident and her certificate got burnt, and she had approached the NYSC to issue her a new one, a new certificate, a replacement certificate, having, according to the story, completed our NYSC of 2001 later in Kaduna State. And NYSC came back and said, well, they don't have any record of her having done the NYSC in either completing it in Ebonyi State or subsequently in Kaduna State. So she didn't get the PENCOM job, on the basis of which she now currently went and enrolled to be able to complete her NYSC. And we're told that cumulatively, before her appointment, she had done 8 months. NYSC is just 12 months, right? So a number of questions here. The three-way, the no third way that Mr. Ekpo is talking about, he says, it's either you have the certificate or you have an exemption certificate, okay? Because if you are over the age of 30, as at the time of graduation, you are entitled to an exemption certificate. But what the law says is that if you graduate before 30, you take part in it. And now, there's no third way. What it means is that you can't rationalize it in any other way. So, a number of questions. Who are the people who did the security screening for ministers before they were appointed? Because security screening will have looked at all of these details. 2, why the hurry? Hannatu Musawa, yes, served the APC campaign. She was one of the spokespersons, and she did very well. So even if there was a need, to compensate her, couldn't the president have waited maybe just some 3-4 months to allow her to complete her NYSC, and then maybe by December, appoint her, give her the ministerial portfolio? What even Ramkus is, NYSC is saying that according to the Enabling Act of the NYSC Act, core members, serving core members, which she is not required to go and take another job, whether it's a ministerial appointment or whatever, or international appointment, is completely beside the point. You can't hold down 2 positions at the same time. And the question should be asked, Ms. Musawa, has she been collecting ministerial salaries and enjoying ministerial perks, and also collecting allowances as NYSC person at the same time? As for Barrister Shittu, former Minister of Communications, well, he may have been able to get away with it. What he's saying, that you don't need NYSC certificate to seek an elected position, is right. But at the point he was made minister, that matter maybe was not raised. So he was lucky to escape. If anybody tries to appoint him again, he will be shocked that the matter will be brought up. As happened in the case of Mrs. Adeosun, former Minister of Finance, who in fact also had to resign, as a result of controversy over the NYSC discharge certificate. What is the whole idea of the NYSC? That people take out 1 year to serve their country. It's not voluntary. Once you are a graduate, you serve Nigeria. Now, if NYSC is good enough for all of us, it must be good for everybody who falls under the definition. This same NYSC was established before Hannatu Musawa was born. She was born in 1974. People have been doing that, have been enrolling in that service. They've been, getting into it since 1973. They've been there. Now, she was first mobilized in 2001. We're still talking about her not completing her NYSC in 2023. That looks like indulgence. All these rich people's children, they just take advantage of everything, don't they?
Yeah, I'll be curious. I'm curious to know why she didn't complete it the time she had the opportunity to. Was it due to health reasons? Was it due to the fact that she didn't like her place of assignment? It's quite,
Nobody always likes her place
I'm
of
just
primary assignment.
trying to understand why.
Don't say that. We serve this country.
Let's move on to our next story. There's outrage over the destruction of parts of the building and equipment of the African Independent Television, AIT, and Raypower FM in Port Harcourt by the Rivers State government. Officials of the broadcast outfit say that over 85 staff may be thrown out of jobs if the continued demolition is not stopped. The acting head of Center of AIT Raypower in Port Harcourt, Ekiko Anthony, says the building was brought down in the early hours of Sunday during a heavy downpour. He says the management of the broadcast outfit was taken aback by the no-notice action by Governor Sim Fubara's administration as efforts were being made to resolve the crisis between it and the state government.
When you see people come with arms, and they were there, the security man called, and these are the people here with policemen and so on and so forth. And we said, put a call across to them. And they say they are from the higher authority. We can't transmit. The mast is down. The transmitters have been destroyed. So how do we transmit? It will be so early for me to say it now because I'm still talking with the corporate headquarters. It will be so early for me to say anything concerning the way forward. As the head of center and financial expert, I will tell you that you might like it. And moreover, we have more than 85% of indigenous working here. So you might like it. There's no two ways about it. Because keeping the staff for that long, except something is done within this month, so how do you want to pay them? How? We were operating both local and national. But what was driving it was the transmitter and the mask. That was what was driving it. I will have to have a section with the head engineering to really decide on what we can do. For now, I can't say anything about that.
Obviously, the demolition has affected transmission in areas close to where it's situated in Rivers State. However, they have mentioned at AIT that there are other options to viewing in terms of using satellite TV and other options. But this is concerning, Rufai.
This is concerning, and I'll speak as somebody in the media. I know the NBC frowns at the fact that anybody just goes to destroy transmitters of media houses that they fully, accredit that is working, that is on there, because the NBC regulates those media houses. But also there's a conundrum over the land between the state government, and which the state government also claimed they had given them, ample notice prior to this time. And the case had been on for a bit, and I thought there were resolutions, because this matter is not new.
Yes.
It came up the last time, and I thought resolution was already on as regards it, because the former governor, then Governor Wike, did feel that. So all of this is just all surprising. When you look at it critically, this is very sad for the media world. This is very sad for the loss. Somebody will have to bear the cost. And I think they should still go back and talk to the state government as regards it, even if with all of this, going there with this high-handed attitude to be able to destroy and demolish and render people jobless, not in a time where the economy is at an all-time low. I think there are better ways to be able to settle things. And we've had antecedents of things like this in the past. You remember the case of Yinka Efele's radio station that was damaged, that was, But in the end, Governor Jimobi did fix it, before he passed. And I think there's going to be a resolution to it. And state governments must also temper things down, especially when it comes to media houses. Not to say if they have problems as regards the land, they should not sort it out, or people should not get, due authentication to their land and all of that. But going out there to damage property, I think it's just one step too far.
Well, it's interesting you brought up the Governor Jimobi case, because it means that the government ended up incurring more in terms of paying for what could have been resolved without having to demolish and then pay money to, to compensate. Dr. Batsi, what's your take on this?
Well, the International Press Center, the broadcasting organization of Nigeria, and other concerned citizens have condemned what has happened, the assault on the Raypower AIT premises in Port Harcourt, as an assault on the media, on press freedom, particularly the manner in which the Fubara administration in Rivers State has gone about it. Taking engineers to to a media house to go and forcefully dismantle the mast, taking bulldozers and soldiers to the place and dismantling things and threatening to bulldoze and level up the building. It's an act of a resort to self-help that borders on thuggery. And it's unfortunate that, Simi Fubara, the governor of Rivers, who must have been in secondary school, in fact, or maybe in primary school, when the late, High Chief Raymond Dokpesi set up Dark Communications and also set up that studio in Port Harcourt, that he is attracting this kind of thing to himself. He needs to be properly advised as follows. If indeed there is land dispute, if the matter had been in court, now what all parties involved should do is to respect the decision of the court. And what the reports indicate is that the matter has not yet been determined by the court. If that is true, then the action of the Rivers State government will amount to contempt of court. And the damages that have been inflicted on Raypower and AIT in Port Harcourt, there's no other option left to Raypower and AIT other than to go back to court and ensure that the Rivers State government is sanctioned. And we hope that this will not become a tradition, because it was under Governor Nyesom Wike that we used to hear of demolitions of buildings and properties in Port Harcourt. Simi Fubara, if he's looking for things to emulate from the man who installed him as a governor, it shouldn't be the demolition of buildings. There are more important things for him to do. And, antagonizing the media, whatever the justification may be, does not look like a mature way, to provide governance. Well, as the gentleman who was interviewed pointed out, there are jobs involved, yes. There are costs involved, but people should always take the rule of law. They should follow the rule of law, not the rule of thuggery, just because, you say you are the, what do they call themselves again? Constituted authority in Rivers State. Constituted authorities should learn to behave according to the law.
Dr. Bati, rule of law versus rule of thuggery. The balance there. Well, let's stay in Rivers State for our final story for today. The Rivers State Police Command has taken swift action against officers involved in the alleged assault on a woman in the state, as captured in the video that went viral on Friday, September 1. In the disturbing video, which circulated widely on social media, a female voice could be heard vehemently expressing anger and cursing the police officers for their alleged involvement in assaulting her sister. The incident reportedly occurred during a routine stop-and-search operation in the Ada George area of Rivers State, resulting in the victim sustaining a broken lip. In an update shared on its X handle on Monday, the police said that the officers allegedly involved in the incident from the video have been identified and are now in custody. We were going to take this story yesterday, and I'm glad that we couldn't, because this is a great update with regards to the reaction from the police. Swift reaction, I must say. Rufai, very quickly, your take on this.
Yes, they are now in custody, but what change does it make? The woman has been brutalized. Who pays her compensation? There have been cases where even the court has ruled that police should pay compensation. They never pay compensation. They disrespect and disobey court orders. And this is in waiting for another police atrocity to happen. So it's obvious that with all the NSAS protests, police never learned anything because there are no punitive measures against them. So you have errant officers in the police force that don't do right by the people, brutalize people. Ayo will sit down here, will wait till another case like this will happen. I mean, what warranted the woman being beaten this way and hurt this way? So the police must do a lot to train people within its rank and files. But also, I hear now that there's a complaints desk by the IG that was just recently set up. So we should be able to use that complaint desk to complain more. Maybe numbers like that we avail more to the public. But the police should do more, because we keep hearing a lot like this. It's not the citizens we want police to fight. We want police to fight crime and criminality. They've been doing that, but they should intensify efforts.
Absolutely.
And they should go and flex their power on criminal bandits and all sorts of nefarious vices bedeviling Nigeria. Not citizens that just move around doing their duty and going out about their livelihood, and those are the ones you can hurt in the lips.
Excellent.
Especially a woman, for that matter.
Well, let's take our final story, this time highlighting private sector initiative to provide palliatives for citizens following the removal of petrol subsidy in the country. In Benue State, last month, Fidelity PLC joined forces with the Hyacinth Alia Foundation and the Benue State Emergency Management Agency to provide 1,200 food packs to internally displaced people in the state, aiming to combat hunger among vulnerable populations. You know, we talk about government intervention, the NLC said, going on a 2-day warning strike because of part of which is palliatives by government. But it's great to see, Dr. Bati, private sector organizations also doing their own bit to support the people, to help the people.
Well, I mean, one government after the other has always said, look, when there is a crisis to address, it's collective in terms of responsibility. We saw that during COVID, when private sector got involved and tried to provide support, and that helped a great deal, even if we have not had the proper audit of how much was spent and how much was, was collected fully. Now, in this particular case, what we're dealing with is fuel subsidy removal and the hardship that people are facing. And you have Fidelity Bank, showing leadership in this regard, providing support for people in different parts of the country, in Benue. I think they also had something in Kaduna State.
Yes,
and the thing is to commend Fidelity Bank, commend in particular the managing director. I think her name is Ineka Ikpe. Ineka Ikpe and her team. And also to say that other private sector organizations should follow this example.
Yes.
But more importantly, our government should pay more attention to the people's welfare. So it's a good thing. Lagos State government has food bank, so other private sector groups can also go under that. In Borno State, the governor there is also, having some initiatives. So if we see this combination, but the ultimate goal will be to run an economy that is productive, that works for the people, that provides opportunities for people, so that there will be less burden on the people and the private sector and even government itself if the economy works and is productive. Absolutely. But kudos to Fidelity Bank.
Absolutely, kudos, and we hope to see more private institutions, intervene, particularly in alleviating the sufferings of Nigerians following the removal of fuel subsidy. Well, thank you very much, Fire and Doctor, for your great analysis, as always.
Thank you very much indeed.